Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be looking at something called the Blackburn Shilling trap. And it's a trap played by black against the king's pawn opening. And it's a trap which I don't exactly recommend, and you'll understand why. So let's just go start off with it. So it's e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4. And instead of playing any move like knight to f6 or bishop to c5, we play the move knight to d4. Looking odd on first glance, and white really has only two options here. He can either take on d4 or he can take on e5. And if he takes on e5, he kind of falls into your trap. So here you play queen to g4. And white, obviously being greedy, will take knight to f7, queen to g2, and now white thinks he can take your rook on h8 anytime because it's not running anywhere. So he thinks playing rook f1 would be better, put his rook to safety, then take your rook. But here he immediately ends himself by limiting his king's squares to run, because after queen takes e4 check, you realize that queen e2 isn't an option. Because of knight takes e2, the king can't run anywhere. Only move is bishop to e2. And if you can figure out the mate, you can pause the video here and there's a mate that's happening. Well, obviously there's a move knight takes c2 which gives you the queen if he takes, but the immediate mate is knight to f3, checkmate. So what if he doesn't play rook to f1? What if he wants to take your rook first? Well, yeah, he can do that. But after queen to h1 check, bishop to f1 only move again. Queen to e4, you feel like it's the same position. But it isn't, because this time after bishop to e2, 3 check, white can run away to king to f1. So that's not an option. But still, here there are two moves that end white's position. The first being pawn to d5. What this does is anything you do, you play d3 or you play knight to c3, you're gonna get the same answer. Knight to f3 check, king to f1, bishop to h3 checkmate. And the other alternative is bishop to c5. Same thing again. If you play knight to c3 or you play pawn to d3, you're gonna get the same result. Knight to f3 check, king f1, queen h4, and you can't save the mate on f2. Queen takes f2. So just to look at the trap again, it starts off with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, knight to d4, knight takes e5, queen g5, knight takes f7, queen takes g2, and here there are two moves he can play. Knight takes h8. In that case, you play queen takes h1, bishop f1, queen e4, bishop to e2, thinking he can run away to king f1. But there are two moves here again. I suggest you learn one. I think it should be d5. d5, anything he does, d3 or knight c3, knight f3 check, king f1, and bishop h3 checkmate. Also, if he tries to run away first with rook to f1, you can have queen takes e4 check, bishop to e2 only move, and knight f3 checkmate. Now back to why I don't really like this opening. Well, for starters, after knight to d4, the move knight takes d4 really kind of puts black in a bad position, because after e takes d4, which is forced, you realize the center is almost gone, and the move c3 really doesn't help, because after d takes e3, knight takes e3, simple move like d5 will completely ruin your opening and it'll lead to a bad middle game. If you don't want to take that, you can play bishop to c5, but that's not the best bet, because after bishop takes f7, king takes f7, queen h5 check, you have a check, as well as your bishop going on c5. So if white knows how to tackle the problem, you can be in a really bad situation with black. After knight takes d4, So you'll have to actually, after c3, you'll have to play d takes c3. After he takes knight takes c3, you'll have to play with, by playing d6, probably a solution would be playing with g6, bishop g7, taking out your bishop outside the diagonal, putting your knight on e7, maybe castling, and then finally trying to push f5 somehow, so you can finally have some play in the middle. Anyways, that was a Blackburn Shilling trap, and I hope you liked the video. Thank you, and see you guys.